could have just went to his office instead of having to do these mind games of like, let me change my hair, let me do this, let me say some wild stuff, or like, let me do this, I'm gonna get their attention. Or you could just go knock on his door, who's like right there. You see, we walk past it every day and stuff like that. And that's like this wild, like, it could all be so simple.
Yeah.
Especially if you're already performing well. Like, if I understand, like, you got to pick your spots too, and like, you got to earn the equity in order to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
And by that time, I was already doing like the NXT, like the takeovers and like the Worlds Collides. I was already being on everything in weekly TV.
All right, guys, we hit the locker room. Some more Swerve Strickland news. This time's regarding himself and Triple H, and why there was so much animosity between Triple H and Swerve Strickland. Let's check out more here at Toss Ring Scandal. Hey, guys, we're here at the locker room. This is Toxic Ring Scandal, aka KDH. We'll talk about why Swerve was never a Triple H guy. Swerve is a Tony Khan guy, not a Triple H guy. You got to guys get the likes up as we come to the locker room. We about to answer the dirty laundry on this one. Now, we're here talking about Swerve Strickland. Now, he is currently in AEW, a former WWE talent. He is a former AEW World Champion. Now, he's been making buzz lately. Like I said, we spoke about him and Booker T. But also, on the Vlad TV interview, he's now speaking about his time in WWE on the NXT brand when he was Swerve Isaiah Swerve Scott, a part of Hit Row. He was the former NXT North American champion. But he talked about his issues of how he was frustrated of how he was being pushed on NXT. He really wanted to be one of Triple H's guys. He really wanted to elevate his career. Because we have to realize Swerve Strickland, before coming to WWE, he's been in Lucha. He's been on plenty of independent circuits. He grinded his way to where he needs to be. Soon we're going to hear the interview with Swerve Strickland on Vlad TV when he talks about his time in WWE and his frustration with Triple H. And we'll also talk more about that. And he also did an interview way back when with Chris Van Fleet. But let's tune into it right now.
Back for me, and he knew what I was capable of. But I always felt like he positioned me in a way that wouldn't overtake other talent, in a sense. It was like, you can't have, like, I was drafted 3rd round, 4th round to a team or something like that. And if you put me on the field, I'm going to outshine the first rounder that you drafted, that you paid $20 million for. And I'm getting paid like $900,000 to be on that team. But if you play me, what do you do with the first rounder? So he positioned me in ways like that, where it's like, oh shoot, that was a great performance. I'm like, yeah, give me more. He's like, not yet. I'm like, oh, why is that? Why aren't you giving me more? And I would have conversations with him straight to his face. I would tell him this straight to his face now. But we still have a good relationship, like even still to this day. But I would be like, oh, I want to be one of your guys. What do I have to do to be one of your guys? 3 months later, have the same conversation again. I want to be one of your guys. Thank you for the opportunity, but I want to be one of your go-to guys. And then, like, after a while, it's like a year goes by, and I'm like, what's stopping me from being one of your guys? And that's where he was like, I backed him into a corner. He's like, oh shit, he's figuring out my shit. Because he like, Triple H is great, but he has a way of like wording things in a way that run you around to where you started the conversation. And I picked up on that. And now I stopped him from running around it again. And I looked him in his face. I'm like, what's stopping you? And he was like, you know what? Let's get you with Russo. I forget his first name. Get you at Russo. Get him a call. Start coming up with some stuff. I always knew, like, the one day I knew I was getting like bullshitted around the PC was like when I was there for like 3 or 4 months, and I got called to do 205 Live against Drew Gulak, who had the Cruiserweight Championship. 205 Live is a show that takes place after SmackDown. So after SmackDown, you see the Roman Reignses, you see all these big names. They had the boom, 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 boom clash SmackDown main events, and they close off SmackDown. Then they do like another show for the extra content on the WWE Network at the time. And it was 3 matches they had, and we were the last one. So we had to go last on that night in Miami after you've seen all the stars. And it was me and Drew Gulak. We went 18 minutes in the ring straight for the Cruiserweight Championship. Everybody's on their feet, going crazy. I have Swerve's house signs, like going after Roman. I have Swerve's house signs. They're not chanting "This is awesome." They're chanting "Let's go Swerve." They're actually rooting for me to win this title. I ended up losing to Drew Gulak. Got great praise in the back coming afterwards. Charlotte, Bayley, Kofi, like all giving me crazy, like Samoa Joe. Everybody's giving me crazy praise. I come back to the PC and they're trying to teach you arm drags again. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that. They're trying to tell me how to entertain 400 people in NXT when I just entertained 6,000 in the stadium. I'm like, why are you trying to backtrack me? Because I already showcased what I can do in front of 6,000, which is, well, mind you, that's the end game to all this, right? The end game is to get me there of what this product is, right? That's like you don't bring the guy from the G League and he drops 30 in the NBA and come back to practice back at the G League and it's like, let's put him on the bench and he needs more development. I'm like, I just dropped 30 on Giannis. What are we doing? So that was the mindset I had, and it was like kind of too brash. It was too overthinking. It was too like, and that's where I kind of clashed with Triple H as far as like we didn't gel. I really gelled with Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was the one who was like, because he didn't have the full power. He was just like an advocate, and he was just like a partner to Triple H because he was more hands-on with the talent. And out of like all the coaches and all the people and the staff there, Triple H still had to go to the main roster and SmackDown and Raw and do a lot of these public appearances. He still had to do like the shareholders meetings and all that. So he couldn't be like there every day, but he was there pretty often. Shawn is the only one out of all those coaches that could really teach you how to be a top main event star. Conversation with Matt Bloom. I tweeted something earlier in the week. I was like, something stupid. It was like a one-word thing. I was like, it was like invaluable. I'm like, something like that, invaluable or some shit like that. But I was getting pulled in there with Kane and Seaman to do my promotion. I'm like, so they were like, oh, you're here, just right here, just getting your promotion, going up in pay, all that. He's like, but I want to ask you, why'd you tweet that? Why would you feel like, this, or whatever? I'm like, because that's how I fucking feel. Like, I'm not hiding my feelings about it. I know what I'm worth. I know what my value is. And I feel like y'all are kind of holding me back from reaching that. And I only got like another year and a half here till my contract's up. He's like, what does that mean? I was like, it means exactly what I mean. Like, I have a year and a half for y'all to like do something with me of merit, and then I'm let loose. And by that time, AEW already started. So we're going back and forth on Wednesday nights. So I'm like, so they were like, he was like, well, what are you looking for? What do you want to do? I was like, I want to get in Shawn Michaels' class. Well, he's not really doing classes right now. He's not really holding classes because he's so busy with the show. I was like, well, can I get a meeting with him? He's like, I mean, his office is right over there. Bet. I went over there. I found Shawn. I was like, hey, Shawn, do you mind if I do tape studies with you? Do you mind if I he's like, absolutely. I'm like, is that fucking easy? Yeah. I could have just walked up to his office. But that's those things, they don't give you those curriculums. That's not part of it. That's the game. They want that run around until you earn the sweat equity to be able to go over there to be like, oh, now you're
to his office. Instead of having to do these mind games of like, let me change my hair, let me do this, let me say some wild stuff, or like, let me do this, I'm gonna get their attention. Or you could just go knock on his door. Who's like right there. You see, we walk past it every day and stuff like that. And that's like this wild, like, it could all be so simple. Yeah. Especially if you're already performing well. Like, if I understand, like, you got to pick your spots too, and like you got to earn the equity in order to be able to do that. Absolutely. And by that time, I was already doing like the NXT, like the takeovers and like the Worlds Collides. I was already being on everything in weekly TV.
How can I be one of your guys?
I think me and him had so much more. with Tony, I've had way more conversation with Tony than I've ever did with Triple H. Even with Shawn, that came at the last end of my NXT, and then I was like called up and stuff. But like, I had those conversations. I was not going to allow me to have those conversations late with Tony. I wanted to get right to it at the beginning. This is what I do. This is what I can offer. This is what I want to be. Boom. But once again, I had to earn the equity to be able to like back up those words, you know. And I always made sure to like, that's where my style has changed so much in a way that just complements the match, not me. It complements the match, you know.
All right, that was Swerve Strickland. He spoke on both Vlad TV, talking about his time in WWE and with Triple H. He talked about how that he seemed like, and he mentioned on Chris Van Fleet as well, he mentioned how he had to do so much just to become a Triple H guy and ask questions and to get Shawn Michaels to watch tape with him. He said he thought it was a mind game thing, but he did give Shawn Michaels credit. He gave him his credit. You know, he said that he's one of the only coach in NXT to recognize his potential and his talent. With Swerve Strickland, he was very frustrated in NXT. He thought that he should elevate higher than where he was at. Now, he did mention in the interviews that he only had at the time a year or year and a half left on his contract. He basically was telling WWE, during this time I have left on my contract, make the best of what we can do while I'm here. Because long story short, whether how things go great or not, Swerve was bound to leave WWE once that year was up. And it's not because only that Swerve was frustrated. I think Swerve as a person, he states that, you know, when his time is up within a company or his contract, he's going to pivot and move on and do something else. Now, Swerve Strickland recently, if you guys don't know, he just recently signed a 5-year contract with AEW. Brand new contract. But he did say in a tweet, you have five years left, 5 more years of me. And then he said once the 5 years up, it's deuces. So I'm saying that because even though he's in AEW, he's been a world champion. He's been a great feud. He had a great rivalry with Hangman Adam Page and a great rivalry with Ricochet as of recent. Swerve is going to leave AEW once his contract is up because he's 34 years old right now. 5 years from now, he'll be 39. So Swerve, he's always, from what I've seen in interviews, he's an opportunist. And he always wants to embark on the opportunity as much as possible. When he see that the opportunity is not presented to him like it should be, he's definitely going to look elsewhere. And I'm also stating this because during Swerve's time in NXT, as he stated in the interview with Vlad TV that AEW is already out, Swerve already had in his mind, once the year and a half is out, I'm going to AEW and talk to Tony Khan. Now, I give it to Swerve Strickland. He is an opportunist, and he did whatever he could to be successful in AEW, which he has. I mean, he is on record the first black AEW World Champion. He has some great feuds. Not only he won singles gold of being a world champion, he's won tag team gold with Keith Lee. That was shortly after he arrived at AEW. So I give Swerve's credit, but the only issue with that from what WWE, from their point of view, I'm talking as if it were WWE, they probably felt like even though Swerve was very, very, he was very happy to be in NXT, and he was very persistent on what he wanted. They probably felt like Swerve should have waited a little bit longer. And I think from WWE's point of view, they would have got to Swerve at some point. From Swerve's point of view, he think he was being played for a fool, and they was giving him a runaround. So I understand where Swerve was coming from. But WWE, they have a system. And that system is, if you're not a marketable name, if you're not a marquee star larger than life, they're not really going to push you that quick. Or if you're really, really, like Swerve said, be one of the guys coming into the door, they're not going to push you that quick, unfortunately. Swerve was not a WWE guy of Triple H right away when he came into the door. He never, him and Triple H never really, clicked like that. But Swerve Strickland, he did whatever he could to make it work in NXT. And once that was done, that was out. And now he's in AEW. So But I believe that's what the whole thing between Triple H and Swerve. They got two different point of views. And unfortunately, they couldn't come to an agreement. But that's all I had for why Swerve was never a Triple H guy. Swerve is a Tony Khan guy and not a Triple H guy. And also, Tony Khan and Swerve, they clicked right away. And Tony's a whole different kind of person, like Swerve said, compared to Triple H. You guys let me know what you think of this whole situation. Was Swerve wrong for, feeling the way he felt? Or was he right the whole time? You guys let me know. Check out the content of Toxic Reign Scandal, a.k.a. KDH. Until then, guys, you already know what it is. It's OUT.